What's happened? Change, my dears, and it seems not a moment too soon. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the all-new Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. Very, very proud to be in the TARDIS today because in addition to one partner in time, the ever incredible Jesse Jackson, we have a new partner in time. Starting today here with episode 119, our new partner in time, you may have heard her before if you're a fan of the show, or some of my other podcasts that I do for Southgate Media, Karen Lindsay. Welcome aboard the TARDIS.
Hi, thank you for that warm welcome.
It is so, my heart is filled with joy to see your smiling face again. It is so... It's been way too long since you and I have gotten to podcast together, Karen.
Agreed. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I'm very happy.
Yes, I am too.
And obviously with Karen, Karen obviously is my co-host on the Phantom Zone podcast that I do. And Jesse, of course, is my other co-host on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. So once again, I have my two podcast worlds colliding.
Yes.
And
well, I feel like my two worlds are colliding.
Yes.
Because I used to do a podcast with Jesse, and I do a podcast with you.
Yeah, we did Storm in the Castle for many years.
That's right.
We did my very first foray into podcasting was the Farscape podcast, the Scapecast.
That's right.
And that's where Karen said, "You might be good at this, Jesse."
That's right.
And so it's all your fault.
It is true. It is all my fault. It is. I take full credit as well. By the way, do you know that the last episode of that just came out?
No, I did not know. Yep. That is hilarious.
Yep. We finished, 2 years ago?
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we were so far in advance.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know. So it just came out. I have some of my friends are actually listening to it and watching Farscape. So it's kind of cool to still have people listening to us. And they're like, Jesse knew in advance all this stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Yes, he did. Well, yeah, very nice. So
I'm really excited by this. Jesse and I had talked that with the new 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, that maybe it was a pretty good idea that maybe it should be, this show could become more than just two dudes talking about a female doctor.
Make it a little more inclusive, maybe?
A little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit more inclusive and a little more diverse.
Sure.
So I think that is a great idea. I've actually seen that in a couple other, not that there are important, but I've seen that in a couple other Doctor Who podcasts where they have expanded and added some diversity. So I say great for that.
And I'm not just token. I've been on Next Stop Everywhere before. And you all
exactly.
know that I am a huge Doctor Who fan, going all the way back to Tom Baker. So in case you haven't listened to any of the other podcasts that I've been on the other episodes that I've been on, I've been into Doctor Who since the 70s. And I predate Jesse in my love of Doctor Who.
Yes.
So,
Karen is a fan.
Everybody predates Jesse. Come on.
Absolutely.
That's not true. Our very own Justina has started watching.
This is true.
So hopefully we'll be getting some green butterfly feedback.
That would be nice. Justina, I hope you're listening to this episode, by the way.
I can't wait.
She's been dying for us to return on the Phantom Zone.
I know.
So
Well, this week?
hopefully. That's the plan. All right, so I'm excited.
I am too.
What are we going to talk about? Of course, we're going to talk about The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And this is the very first episode from Doctor Who Series 11, written by incoming showrunner and now established showrunner Chris Chibnall, who, of course, wrote for Doctor Who previously under the Russell T Davies era and the Stephen Moffat era. But now he's showrunner just all by himself. And this episode is directed by Jamie Childs, who directed the reveal teaser where Jodie Whittaker was revealed as the 13th Doctor. And I think that Chibnall and Jamie Childs worked pretty well together on this first episode, and I'm dying to know what everybody thinks about it.
They were on stage with Jodie Whittaker at the New York Comic Con, I believe.
Right.
There was I when you watch the evening broadcast, they had snippets from New York Comic Con panel, and they showed the two guys making jokes about, two white guys are talking about inclusivity and expanding it. So
hey, that sounds familiar. So are we. We're two white guys talking about inclusion. So yeah.
Yes, and a tease, Mrs. Set Lusting Bruce. I would say Mrs. Next Stop Everywhere, but the lovely Lori may have something to say about that. Right. Linda watched the show and committed to watching the whole season.
Nice. So Jesse gets to watch Doctor Who with his wife.
Excellent.
Yes. All right.
I wish I could say the same thing about my husband.
Is Sean not watching Doctor Who with you?
Not into Doctor Who, no.
We got to work on that.
I know.
But as for my wife, Lori, she digs the new 13th Doctor. She's a fan. Was sold with this first episode. So right now, getting, at least as far as the wives, getting some positive feedback on Jodie Whittaker's first episode.
How about
so I think that's
significant others. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So 2 out of 3 significant others.
Exactly.
Yeah, when we get to the feedback,
that's a 66.6667 recurring. Right. So
when we get to the feedback portion, we will be able to. I actually, she jotted down some notes for me to share. So
yeah, that's interesting because and with some feedback that we have coming up, I'm not so much the email, but the other feedback that Jesse had received seems to be kind of split along gender lines a lot.
Well, it's not just that. My husband has never been into Doctor Who. And I think it might just be the British thing for him, that he's just not into the British thing at all. He loves The Office, but I tried to get him to watch the British Office, and he was like, nope, not into it. He doesn't like anything like that. It's just not his bag. So too dry, and, he just doesn't get it. So I think that's probably the crux.
Well, you can't please everybody, unfortunately.
No.
Yep. So Charles, I think to get us started, did you have your patent pending special guest stars or highlights you want to share with us?
Yeah. As far as guest cast goes, there wasn't I didn't really see anything really notable. One thing Chibnall's doing, at least in this first episode, is he's using a lot of little-known actors, or at least actors that are primarily known on British television. So anything like James Bond references that we've talked about previously on Next Stop Everywhere, those kind of connections, not so much here. Sharon D. Clarke, who plays Grace O'Brien in this episode, who is a significant character in this episode, she comes more from a British West End theater background.
That's so cool.
Okay,
so which is cool, but it's probably not a major point of reference for a lot of people. So I figured, there was Sharon D. Clarke, Johnny Dixon, who played Carl, the rather insecure but attempted self-reassuring crane operator.
Yes.
He's in this episode. Samuel Oatley, who plays Tim Shaw, or AKA Tim Shaw, take your pick, as the big bad. But again, they're primarily known for British television, so I don't think there would be a lot of mainstream references here for people in the States. So.
Okay. But I did not recognize anyone except, of course, the new Friends.
Right.
So I think I'm going to be old school. You know how they'll rename a sports stadium and
Right.
you'll still call it by the old name.
Yes.
I think I'm still going to call them companions.
I think I'm going to be doing the same because companions it's such a distinctive Doctor Who term.
Yeah.
And I get why maybe Chibnall wants to kind of broaden the scope a little bit, but I don't really see anything wrong with companions as a term. I mean, they're the Doctor's. I mean, just
traveling companions.
They're traveling companions. What I mean,
Yes.
I guess they're trying to say Chibnall is trying to express that they're as friends. There's something more than just traveling companions. But the way I always saw it was that the companion term pretty much included friend, the meaning of friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't just like, oh, hey, some stray that I picked up, like, some of the bad guys might tease.
Well, at least as far as Doctor Who goes, companions encompasses friends. And she did mention, well, I'm going to call you Yas because we're friends now. I mean, they very much got into that realm of we're going to be buds, sort of.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, if you want to use friends, that's cool. We're open-minded, probably, but us old schoolers, we're probably going to be stuck using companions because that's what we're used to.
Right.
So bear with us, and hopefully you won't get too offended. All right. So without any further ado or a don't, let's dive into our main topics this week. And first topic, just like starting over.
Starting over.
And see if you can guess the theme that was suggested by a certain Mr. Jackson this week.
That's right. He's good with song titles.
Thanks. So
I've done okay with them.
Yes, you have. You've done well.
Not too bad.
So Karen, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, this is obviously we're going to talk the 13th Doctor, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Jodie Whittaker. So Karen, what did you think about Jodie Whittaker's first episode?
Oh, man. Could I have loved her anymore? I don't think I could have. Okay. First of all, I think she has done a lot of research after watching this episode because I saw shades of every Doctor from the last 4 in her performance.
Mm-hmm.
Little bits and pieces of each one. A lot of 10. I thought I saw a lot of David Tennant in her performance, but not predominantly, any major, anything that wasn't her either. You know what I mean? It was her.
She brought enough of her into the role.
Right.
Okay.
But little pieces of all the other Doctors so that it was like, yeah, I was all these people, but now I've become this new person. And I really do think that she meant to do that because it just, she used little affectations and
mannerisms,
gestures, exactly, all that stuff. And I loved all the beats that she gave to things, and just
she has really good comedic timing.
Oh, so good.
Very great comedic timing.
So good.
Really well.
Especially on things like when she says stuff like when she goes to make the sonic screwdriver and she says, I'm good with tech, probably, something like that.
Yeah.
Things like that where she just throws a line off and then just adds a little tack onto the end of it. She did that 3 or 4 times through the episode. And she threw in little asides as well. Like, I haven't bought women's clothes in a long time. And she just throws things like that in. Well, she never bought women's clothes for herself, but she's throwing in things like that. Like, she was a player at one point, so she definitely bought them. But
all those female companion clothes had to get in the TARDIS somehow.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Exactly. So yeah, she has experience, but she never bought them for herself, and I think it shows how much fun she had with this role that, she really, not only did she do that research, but she got to play with the things that she was given, because it looks like she had so much fun with it. And then, you know, I watched the interviews and stuff with her, and looking back on those interviews, I can see where she has said things like, you know, I really enjoy this, and you know, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I can tell that she's really had a lot of fun doing this, because, you know, you can see it in that performance, and just so much fun, and I don't know, I was just filled with joy watching it. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah,
it totally does.
It totally. Jesse, how about you? What did you think?
Yeah, same thing. I was filled with joy. It was very interesting. As I've shared earlier, Linda, because of all the hype, and because I'd made her watch so many interviews and stuff, she said, okay, I'm going to watch this. You know, it's the middle of the day. We'll sit down together. I explained a little bit that most regeneration episodes, the doctor normally is a little confused. And so Linda was embraced with that. And she said, and I agree with her, she's charming. Yeah. She's smart. She is likable. There is so much intelligence and charm. And I do think that she does have the feeling of other doctors. What I thought was interesting is she was born, I think she said in the 80s.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, 1984, I believe she said.
Yeah. So she did not get to grow up watching The Doctor. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe in repeats, but, you know, she had, like many of the classic doctors, you know, grew up watching Doctor Who and a fan. She obviously has done her homework. She has decided what kind of doctor she wants to be. And I think charmed is just a word I keep going to. She's charming. Yeah. She is captivating. You understand why you would want to be her friend. You would want to be on a trip with her. And I know we'll get to this in a minute. I loved the spin on the story of why do we have friends / companions traveling with her. There was a nice twist on there. And truly one of the great things, and Charles, this was good for us. We had just watched The Christmas Invasion. Right. So we had just watched Tennant go through this.
Yes.
And him talking about, I don't know what kind of man I am. I don't know yet. And she's like, Karen, as you just said, I'm good with tech, probably. Yeah. You know, and then the couple of times where she could say I'm the doctor, and she's like, it's just not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like it just hasn't clicked in her brain yet.
Of course I know. Of course I know my name. I just can't remember it. Right. Great, clever. And Charles, you thought she was okay, right?
No, I really like Jodie Whittaker. Now, earlier, I had seen a preview clip, and I believe I told you, Jesse, that that first little take, or my impression of her as the 13th Doctor, was that she talks like Christopher Eccleston, acts like Matt Smith. And I really stand by that. Even after this first episode, I think that she brings a lot of Matt Smith's energy into the role, that kind of manicness, but not so much manic, at least from my perspective. It wasn't so much the Tennant hyperactivity. It was just that enthusiasm, that just geeking out over everything in sight.
Yeah.
Everything's new. And so that it reminded me more of Matt Smith. And so she has that energy, and I agree with you, Jesse, totally, that she is charming as all get out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she's instantly likable. She just comes in as this big, like, take charge, not in a bossy way, just more of in a confident leader kind of way.
And because no one else would be able to.
Right, exactly. She's got all these
millennia.
The millennia. Well, yeah, exactly. Now 2 millennia of experience. You're right. Thank you, Karen. That to draw from. Although maybe it's not all there because it's still still cooking, to use a 11th Doctor term.
Did you get a sense of muscle memory though from her?
I think so. I
think so too. Yeah. The other thing, if we could go to the real world just for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Why? Do we have to?
Yeah, I know.
I think about avoid the real world as long as possible.
The real world is kind of a real nasty person in this past
Trust
week.
me,
Huge
Doctor
bummer.
Who is the only thing that saved this weekend. Yeah. The only thing that saved this weekend.
And I think this episode was exactly what we needed here in the United States.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as an actress or an actor,
right?
Jodie had a very tight rope to walk, because the cliche, and it's true, is, well, strong women will come across bossy, or she's a witch.
Yes.
He looks aggressive, she looks witchy. And that's not fair. That isn't right that she has that burden. But the reality, that double standard.
But it's true. It doesn't make it any less true.
And she nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, she is a leader. She comes across as a female character. It isn't as if she played, Ripley in Aliens, right? Could have been a guy or a gal. I mean, she comes across as a woman, yet strong, confident. I just think the acting on this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yep. And yes, it was so nice to see Jodie just she almost seemed like she was like a natural for this role.
Yes, I totally agree.
And it's not like, I know a lot of the bro take on Jodie's casting was that, the Doctor's going to be all girly, and just that it's going to it's not going to be the Doctor anymore. It's like the companion is now the Doctor. All this yada yada, all this garbage, and it's like, no, Jodie Whittaker comes in and doesn't even act like and this is one of the things that really struck me. She doesn't really act like, oh, hey, I'm a girl.
No.
It's just I'm this person that's going to eventually remember that she's the Doctor.
Right.
She's just
in fact,
doing.
She doesn't even realize she's female until someone points it out.
Which was a great line.
So it's like
she's just a person.
Exactly. She's a person. She's just like, I'm doing my thing.
She's not a person, but you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely.
She's an alien, but
she's a
Time
person.
Lords are people too.
She's a being. A being.
Yes, she's a being. Yes, but she's just like, well, I'm just doing the things that I've been doing for millennia, like I normally do. I'm here, like I help people, I fight aliens, I make the universe more fair.
Wouldn't it be awesome if we could change bodies? If some of the people who have been so incredibly awful this last week knew what it was like to be in a female body.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you
would be.
Force them into a female body?
Just I guess you have to start working on that gene switching bomb.
And that the
chromosome switching bomb, I should say. And
let's just talk about how great it is watching her with the goggles and building her sonic screwdriver and tinkering and as she talks with the tools and throwing them aside and coming up with that.
That was a great physical performance.
So this is the first time a Doctor has built a sonic screwdriver from scratch, right?
Well, that we've seen.
Right, yes. Right. Well,
because in the classic series, like the Doctor would oh, hey, here's my sonic screwdriver. That we figured he had to have built off camera at some point.
At one point, sure.
Yeah.
But
Before the new series came along and they started popping out of the TARDIS console.
Right, but I'm talking about like on screen.
Like as a vending machine.
Right.
Like I kind of thought of this as, just like you have to build a lightsaber to be a fully formed Jedi. You always picture you have to build your sonic screwdriver to be a official Time Lord. Maybe not, but I just loved how I can do this.
Yeah.
And I love the empty pocket jokes.
Oh, those are so great.
Don't you steal my quote, Jackson.
I actually
don't you steal my quote.
I was thinking that might be somebody's ranking.
I was gonna say that you probably took that from my article, but we haven't published the article yet, so so you didn't. But those were the two things at the end of my article that I mentioned.
All right, so any final thoughts about Jodie before we move on?
No, I couldn't love her more.
I agree. I could not love her more.
Yeah, it's for everybody, all the cavemen-like fan men, boys, whatever, poo-pooing and dismissing Jodie Whittaker that, she can't be the Doctor. The Doctor, Doctor Who is no more. Guess what? She did just fine.
Yeah.
She proved it right in the first episode. She can hang with all the other actors that play the Doctor, if not better.
And best ratings in a long time.
Exactly. And we'll talk about that. But this first episode, the overnight ratings came in, and apparently Jodie's first episode got better overnight ratings than Peter Capaldi's first episode, then Matt Smith's first episode, and wait for it, David Tennant's first episode.
Right.
Yeah, and just in case you need a seal of opinion, a seal of excellence,
yes.
Neil Gaiman tweeted last night, I just watched The Woman Who Fell to Earth. That was definitely the Doctor. Yep. Not that I had any real doubts, but it's wonderful to see how much of the Doctor she is.
Yeah.
And I just,
this is someone who has written Doctor Who scripts.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, Gaiman, of course, famous for The Doctor's Wife during the Matt Smith era, and also for Nightmare in Silver, although that was less well received, but still,
absolutely.
I mean, he's not just an amazing author, but he's written Doctor Who.
Exactly. Scripts, So this is an actual former Doctor Who writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to everything else that Gaiman has accomplished.
Hopefully future too. I would love to see him write.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes, I would too. All right. So fingers crossed for that for the future.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to our second topic. Won't you stand by me? Stand by me. And this, of course, this is our companion/friends. As we're introduced to Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, Mandip Gill as Yasmin Yaz Khan, and Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, our new TARDIS team.
That's right.
So what's everybody's thoughts about the new companions?
Should we talk about Grace well,
Grace was, but I mean, she's not.
Well,
we could talk about her as well because, but sadly, Grace meets with a tragic end in this episode. Spoilers.
Sharon D. Clarke as Grace.
Yes.
Yeah. What I thought was really interesting is we're watching the episode together, and when Grace falls, and Linda goes, but she was my favorite. and I go, welcome to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The deep hurting.
Welcome to science fiction in general, really.
Yeah. They were Whedoning characters before Whedon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was and I know I'm going to oversell.
Yeah.
But I think it was a perfect combination. I think they will feel Grace is lost. And I think that The three remaining friends will find a way to comfort each other because of the huge hole that she left. So as far as a storytelling choice, I think it was brilliant. I mean, you have this grandson who has been his mother has died. Now then his grandmother's has died. His father doesn't even show up for his own mother's funeral. You've got the widow who, he's fresh from cancer, adored her. And now then he has this kind of unique, very strained relationship between his now kind of foster, I guess, step grandson.
Yeah.
And Yaz, who is very smart, very good, ambitious, really wanting to go out there and strive. She knows Ryan from school. It is such
so they have a history.
Yeah, there's such a great trilogy there of things that they can interact. They each have their own skill sets. One of the things I have said, why Martha is one of my favorite companions is I always felt like her being a doctor, she brought in something to the TARDIS. Well, I think all three of them have some skills that will help. Right. I love the idea that they didn't choose to go with the doctor. Mm-hmm. They just kind of got stuck in there, and now then we're going to have to see. The Chris took this. They've really thought this out. I mean, I know we've waited a long time for new episodes, but you can see none of this was wasted time. They really worked on the writing. They worked on the story. I assume this whole episode arc is going to be amazing, and it looks beautiful. I am just amazed at what kind of journey these three, along with the Doctor, are going to take us on.
Sounds good. All right, Karen, how about you? What are your thoughts?
I loved all of them. First of all, I love that they are bringing in dyspraxia.
Yes. I love that.
They're working with the Dyspraxia Association. The Dyspraxia
I did not know that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is advising them throughout the whole season to get it authentic.
Get it right, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very happy about that. It's a developmental disorder. I just want to plug this in here. It is linked very closely with ADHD. So it's a really important thing. And I think not only is it important to help people with disorders like this to feel normal, but it's also going to help people who haven't been diagnosed to go and seek a diagnosis. And I really do think it's important, for people who are like, well, I never was able to ride a bike. Maybe I should go and get it. It's very hard to diagnose.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember following on Twitter as I was watching the episode. There were so many people that were just surprised, like pleasantly surprised that a character had dyspraxia.
Right. It's a very little known condition, but it's like 8% of people have it. So it's more people have it than have it. And I think it's really important. I was delighted to see that they were showing something like that on television. And
they actually addressed it in the episode where like he, not in addition to riding the bike, but where Ryan's trying to climb the ladder, the crane,
right.
And
stumbles. He has issues, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And they can have like speaking disorder and all sorts of. He has a very mild form of it. It can be almost debilitating, but I think it's really important. So I thought Ryan, he's going to be such an important character this season. He's going to be probably the character that not only is the most vulnerable and has the most heart, but he's going to be the one who can cope. I think that's going to be his role. I think Graham is going to be kind of the I've been through the wars. I have ingenuity. I might come up with the outside the box sort of solution.
Thinking, yeah. Right. The unexpected,
right.
idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, and he's also going to maybe recognize a network. Because if you notice, he said, the bus drivers always know. He might be the one to say, hey, I think those miners might know something. So he might be the one to notice a network. Okay, and then I think Yaz is going to be like the inner strength kind of person and the innate, like, lawful good character. Right? I think
to use a role-playing term. Wow, a role-playing terminology coming from Karen. How unexpected.
Shocker. I just was, I noticed that Chris Chibnall has a nephew that has this.
Oh.
And the other thing.
That would probably be why it got inspired.
Yeah, and the idea that this isn't going for inspiration. It just is a character who happens to have this affliction and this disability.
Right.
And I just think that's so well done.
I do too.
Yeah, it's not like they're dwelling on it. You're right. It's just he's a person that just happens to have this condition.
Right. But if it does happen to, like, let people know if you have dyspraxia, you can be
exactly normal. You can be out there traveling time and space just like Ryan.
Exactly. You can do amazing things. Or if you have these symptoms, go get it checked out. I mean, I think if it does either of those two things to even one person, then it's done an amazing thing. And then, of course, Grace. Oh, you knew we were going to lose one of them, right? And of course, it's going to have to be the most heartbreaking one.
And of course, it's the character that is enjoying it the most.
Of course, her utter delight in helping out with the cranes. That was, I mean, I loved it when she goes to Graham and she says, "Is it wrong that I'm loving this?" And Graham is like, "Yes." And so,
And I actually like the idea. Graham is, to a certain degree, the voice of reason. You are running toward why are you running toward doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Graham seems to be the common sense character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, why are you actively going toward that alien?
He might be the character, also the companion on the show that is kind of, hey, do we really need to be changing this part of history? That might be
the audience's point of view character.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing that Linda and I had an interesting discussion about is she says, "Can you pause this for a moment?" I go, "Sure." And she said, "Are the companions normally, people of different ethnicity,
Yeah.
And I said, we've had Martha and we had Bill. I said, and mostly it's been
Mickey.
Mickey, yeah, Mickey, you're right. I knew I was going to forget one. I said, but mostly it's often young, attractive female companions.
Right.
And I said, just like, and I'm getting a little serious here, but I think it's interesting. Just like Meghan Markle, you saw people covering the royal wedding that the fans said, for the first time, the royal family has someone who looks a little like me. Now, of course, the reality is Meghan Markle was absolutely beautiful, and she doesn't look like any common person.
Right.
But their point is, and now then, not only do you have a doctor that someone can look at, but you have companions that people can look at and say, that looks like me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just think that is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can identify
just
with them. Yeah.
And it's a side note. It's just a good story that just happens to have these characters.
Right.
Right. Yeah. With Mandip Gill, we have our first Indian companion, Indian heritage. That is.
Right.
Obviously, she's British, but she just happens to have that heritage, and that's obviously something new to Doctor Who. And it was just really a matter of time But what better time?
I saw what you did there.
Right? Yeah. Thank you.
I saw what you did there.
Thank you very much. I love the new companions. I thought that I think Ryan is going to be the primary companion. It seems like, because it seems like, at least in this first episode, he's the one that Chibnall gave the most character development.
Yeah.
Because we see him struggling with at first, right off the bat, we find out he's a vlogger, and he's talking about how it was his feelings for a woman that obviously we'll find out later on he's referring to Grace. Mm-hmm. Rather tragically, and he has this strained relationship with Graham that obviously is going to be developed because they're essentially all that they have now.
Right.
Like the two of them are going to have to lean on each other now that Grace is gone, which is one of the reasons why I expected something to happen to Grace because, well, hey, Graham's got to get out into outer space somehow. So logically, I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because I knew that Grace wasn't a companion, unless I figured, well, she would be okay with him going off. But as we watched that episode, Grace was the more enthusiastic one about doing what she was. So once they depicted her as that character, it seemed to me like, well, yeah, exactly. Something's going to happen. Hit the Price is Right fail music.
Oh, hold on a minute. I forgot to put that over here.
That's okay. I've got it if you need it. Don't worry about it. You get it? So yeah, I kind of figured she was going to be not long for this world. I didn't quite expect that there would be a funeral scene in Jodie Whittaker's first episode. So I'm not quite sure why Chibnall but I mean, you had to kind of show it. So after they killed off the character. So
I'm so happy to do this.
Yes.
Because the first time I had heard the term hand wave was from Karen.
Hand wave.
Yes. So the hand wave of really the doctor hasn't changed clothes. She didn't shower. How many days away from it was the funeral? Was she just...
Well, she regenerated. She didn't need a shower. She's as loud fresh as a daisy.
It's just 2 or 3 days that, there was a little hand wave in there. Yeah. Of course, you would get the great reveal of the new costume. But yeah, I thought it was just lovely.
Well, obviously the doctor was busy building that device.
Yes.
Right. The teleport device that we find out in the cliffhanger. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the development of Ryan and Graham's relationship as they kind of start. Ryan especially comes around to Graham and realizes that maybe the old guy isn't so bad after all. Mm-hmm. We got a little taste of that during the funeral where he kind of tears up hearing Graham speak.
Yeah.
About Ryan's
kind of teared up
man.
Hearing
yeah.
Graham.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, so Bradley Walsh did really good with that scene, by the way. Now, the only person I really didn't think was served, we only got a real quick taste was Yaz.
Yes, same here, yeah.
I thought that she could have been written a little stronger in this episode.
Down the road, we're gonna see centric episodes with all of them. I'm guessing,
sure,
because
I think so too.
Probably, yeah. The one character gets the spotlight.
Right. So we'll see more from her, and I just think that. It's a setup episode. So if they're going to kill off Nan, they're gonna focus on.
And we might see Grace in flashback form.
Sure, and they might go to the past. Be.
So maybe Ryan will remember something, or Graham will remember something, and we'll get a flashback sequence.
That would be heartbreaking for them.
Because I was under the impression that she was going to be a recurring character.
Mm. Well, and that.
And that would definitely that with flashback form. Maybe that would be the case. We'll see.
I was asked by one of my nice girl companions.
Yes.
Would Grace be considered fridged?
No, I don't think so. Because Grace went out in a blaze of glory.
Okay. Because she saved the day.
She's the one who chose to actively go after the alien. Nobody told her to do it.
Okay.
Even against Graham's protesting,
Okay.
That she went after the alien because she or the gathering coil.
Right.
To take that out. And then she went out heroically.
Right.
So I don't think fridging at all.
My answer was no.
Yeah.
As well.
That's my take anyway.
My thought always is if the reason for the death is just to spur on something happening, then that's kind of, but this wasn't. I mean, this was truly
to motivate a male hero.
Yeah, exactly. This wasn't that at all. In fact, they deliberately stepped that by having the doctor, have them help her build that transition and them all being transported at the same time. Because I was kind of waiting for that, want to come? That moment.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm telling you right now, I was already on board that if any doctor showed up in the TARDIS and said, you want to come? But Jodie Whittaker tells me, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm sensing some crushing on Jodie Whittaker. Am I incorrect in that assumption?
I'm crushing on her.
I'm crushing on her. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, were you talking about Jesse?
I'm talking about both of you.
I did want to mention.
I don't want to. I know. I don't want to be, presumptive here. So I'm including everybody in that discussion.
Yeah. Me.
Well, I held off saying this part of it, but one of the other things Linda said is
you can have girl crushes on a girl. So,
she's beautiful.
Yeah.
She said she's beautiful. She's charming. She's entertaining. I just love her.
She's just someone you want to hang out with.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's great. All right. Okay. Any other thoughts about the companions before we move on?
I'm good.
No.
Yeah,
all right.
They were
okay. All right. Third and final topic this time. Instant karma's gonna get you. Gonna get you right in the face. So yeah.
I am so happy.
The face full of teeth. Ah!
Oh my God.
We'll talk about this. Of course, is Sim Cha or
Tim Shaw.
Yeah, and that not just so funny? He kept gurgling the name, and she's like, "Yeah,
Sim Cha. What?
Tim Shaw?
Yeah,
Tim.
Funny."
And he tried Sim Cha.
Tim Shaw. Tim Shaw.
For the record, it's TZIM-SHA.
Right.
Tim Shaw.
So funny.
But as the doctor says, Tim Shaw. Okay. All right. So this is obviously our big bad of the episode, where we find out he's apparently come to Earth to hunt the aforementioned crane operator Carl, who's for some reason been tagged as this trophy for this hunt.
Right. And
the idea that Tim Shaw, if he completes this hunt, then he can go back to his people and lead them. That's his big motivation.
Right. I'm good enough. I'm strong enough. And darn it, people like me.
Exactly. Yeah, we should, maybe instead of calling Carl, we should call him Stuart Smalley.
Yes, we should. That's all I could think of when he was doing that.
that kind of positive motivational reinforcement.
Yes. I know, so stupid. I mean, good, stupid,
some people need that, I guess. So
sure.
Yeah. I'm not one of them, but
Well,
I get it.
Well, he hates heights.
Right.
He's working for on his father's company. He doesn't want to do this. He does have low self-esteem, and so I think that was really interesting. He's like, I don't want to know what's going on. I just want to go to work.
That look on the doctor's face when she found out that you're a crane operator who's afraid of heights.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
To be a crane operator, you don't have to be up high ever.
No, but
you're just in a little box.
Yeah.
I mean,
but ideally, if the crane box goes up and down, so you can, because you have to be up high enough to see to use the crane once you get on those upper levels of a building, right? That tower or that cab moves up and down on a crane.
No, that's for the person inside the thing. There's little controls inside the box.
Well, my point is, if the person was on the lower part of the building, though, you couldn't see what's going on in the upper part of the building unless you were up there.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that has to go up and down.
Still.
Yeah. A creepy villain,
Right.
but not a disgusting villain. And that's another fine line you have to do. I know that Charles is happiest when Doctor Who is a little bit creepy and a little bit scary.
And this is why I really like this episode.
You didn't
because
think it was disgusting? I thought he was pretty disgusting.
I thought it was a cool, like, it was disgusting, but it wasn't like horrific.
No.
It was. Yeah. It was just more like, okay, it's like, scare the kids kind of scare.
Sure. He was gross.
Like, oh my God, he's got teeth.
I mean, his whole face was full of teeth.
Yes. This whole, like, because he takes a tooth, we find out, from each victim or whatever as a trophy. And he basically implants it on his face. Like some people do tattoos, hash marks.
And is it only his face, do we think? Or do you think maybe they're all over the place?
It depends on how many people is killed, I guess.
Right.
You'd start with with the face.
That's where the grossness comes in, where your brain starts going about,
Yeah. Do we really want to think about how many teeth is on Sim Shah? No, okay.
Or anyone else in his race. What about the best warrior ever?
He pulls out that mask and you're like,
no. Yeah.
Put it back on.
And seeing Jodie's face when the mask comes off.
Well,
yeah. And I also love that she called him out.
Yeah.
You're cheating. Yeah. What kind of leader are you going to be?
Yeah.
It was I also loved how she misunderstood. She thinks it's two alien races at war, and then she, figures it out. A really nice villain. I know some people have complained that we're not going to get any of the classic monsters, but once again, speaking from the significant other who is interested, that's another selling point for Linda. She said, so no class, I won't have to, I'm going to see at the same time everyone else is. And I said, yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, that makes it kind of feel more opening.
You don't have to feel like you have to know all this history.
Yeah.
Like, you don't okay, who's this guy?
Right.
Well,
you don't feel intimidated.
You don't know because, this is a brand new alien race.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what's wrong with creativity? You don't have to keep going back to using the same villains all the time.
It's the universe.
Right. It's a big universe, guys. You can
exactly.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want with it.
And with Chibnall bringing, we've got a new doctor, we got a new showrunner. Why not have new monsters?
Exactly.
I'm okay with that.
And this was.
And it's not like we couldn't bring them back at some point.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And how often have we said, Charles, that they have used, there's classic monsters that have never brought back, and we had said, God, it'd be fun to see them again. So if they had decided to do that, that would have been fun. But I'm okay with new monsters, and this was well executed. And I loved how the Doctor, once again, by being clever, won. And karma indeed.
Yes.
He caused it himself.
Yep. Because as we find out that in the beginning of the episode, the Doctor and her companions get implanted what's known as with DNA bombs. So that's what we're told. And they're kind of essentially stuck, embedded in their skins. They can't be removed because they're bonded to their DNA. Well, the Doctor, of course, figures out how to remove them, as we find out through the end of the episode, and puts them in the gathering coil that old cheating Sim Shah uses downloads from, or uploads, take your pick, and essentially uploads those bombs into himself. So, wah.
Yeah, and then he goes and touches his neck and...
Yep. Oh, yeah, I was like, so okay, great. I've got my trigger button. All right, take that.
So great.
Oh. And then I do think it was kind of funny that
So he brought it on himself.
Yeah, that, he gets kicked off there, and the doctor's like, that wasn't nice.
Well, yeah, the doctor kind of scolds Carl for like, hey, you didn't have to do that.
Right. You didn't have to kick him while he was down. Although he was already gone.
Yeah,
no one already transported, so it's not a big deal.
But
okay, so when he first shows up and he's like hunched over, I thought, okay, he looks a lot like the Cybermen. And I'm thinking, okay, did they have
because of that armored
armored look, And then he stood up and he's talking, and I'm thinking, okay, so he's not so much like the Cybermen. And then he took that thing off of his face, and I'm like, okay, nothing like the Cybermen. So I was pleasantly surprised, and not just that, but that little bundle of energy stuff,
the gathering coils
as well. Yeah, that was awesome as well, to throw that in as kind of a side thing.
Yeah, well, that was like the
his
first
little
monster
hunting thing. Yeah. So I liked that was kind of like a red herring for the doctor, and I'm doing air quotes, a red herring for the doctor to confuse her, to make it think that it was two different, like, warring factions. And then we find out that it's like two sides of the same coin, as it were. I loved that. So, I mean, it was a really great, like, twisty turny kind of villain. And then at the end, the biggest twist is that, it's the comeuppance. It's, you've cleft yourself in twain.
Right.
You've done it to yourself.
You idiots, you've killed us.
It's your own hubris. It's you've done it to yourself. And I thought he went after that guy because he was tagged because of the sister was taken. Is that the
No.
Or was that another guy? That was Rahul.
Okay. The guy who leaves this computer file that says, like, in the case of my dad.
The earlier guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
And I was expecting
Carl was just the guy they met on the train.
Yeah,
the guy in the fetal position.
The guy's just like, we're all cool here, right? I'm gonna go.
I forgot that he was on the train.
Yeah, that was Carl.
One thing I thought was a little left unsaid was the idea that the guy who died's sister is alive somewhere, because they have him in a kind of a stasis, and so I don't know if that will come back later.
Yeah, that was kind of an unresolved thread, I thought. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Because they made a whole big deal of, like, having Rahul sit there and watch the pod, which looked like a giant old Hershey's Kiss.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Or a turn up.
Yeah.
I did think it was a little slow. I mean, a minor quibble, because we weren't sure what's going on. When he was sit there just staring at the pod, you're like, okay, where's this going? But it not enough to distract it. I mean, it was just a little.
It was just a little break in the action.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I really like this first Stenza guy. I kind of hope we get more of the Stenza. I want to know more about them.
Me too.
Yeah.
So if we may not, but if we do, I think I like their look. I like the costume. I thought that was cool. And if they bring this alien race back, I'd like to see more.
Okay, good.
So, all right. Anything else about this episode before we move on? Although I do want to bring up one point. One major point. Where were the opening credits?
Somebody complained about that, and
that was probably me, because and everybody else going, "Where's the Doctor Who credits? I need my opening theme music."
Why are you saying this here? Why are you saying this here? This is something I am going to talk about in a moment.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
You want to know why I'm not giving it a 10 later? And you asked me.
Okay.
Well, I am for the same reason. So we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yes.
But I did hear when she fell to Earth, and in the train, you could kind of hear the theme kind of behind.
There was a little tease.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
In England, they played a closing theme But
yeah, they had closing credits in the UK and in Canada.
Right.
But BBC America, shame on you.
Not even on the rebroadcasts.
Not even on the not even on the special edition.
Nope.
Which was only special because they showed clips from Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall at New York Comic Con.
Yep.
Which was cool.
Sure.
But
I watched both. I watched it live, and then I watched the special.
I did
not start watching the Cowboys lose till like 9 p.m.
But it just for some reason now, it seems like it doesn't feel quite like a Doctor Who episode unless I'm hearing that opening theme. I need my diddly dum diddly dum did.
Me too.
Fair enough.
I need that.
My husband's having some breathing problems, and I keep saying to him, "It sounds like the TARDIS is arriving."
So we better get that in episode 2.
Yeah,
or there's going to be hell to pay. I'm just saying. I do not agree. I am formally opposed to Chris Chibnall's creative decision there.
In the first one, yeah. I think we're going to get the themes.
Be better. So yeah. I think the reasoning was like, well, the 13th Doctor doesn't have her TARDIS because remember she fell from it and couldn't go back.
It exploded.
So we couldn't see the TARDIS going through space in the opening credits. So no credits. But I don't care. I still want it. Like show a black screen if you have to, but give me the opening theme.
Right. I still think we should have gotten a theme.
Yeah, that's my little rant for the episode.
Period.
All right. Anything else about this episode?
I was gonna do the rant later.
We can do your own rant.
That's all right. Now you've ruined it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step all over your rant.
I don't care.
Charles Staggs rant.
No, I really don't care. I'm good.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. I'm joking with you.
I don't want to step all over your rant.
You're not.
All right. Well, you could. How about this? You get the next rant.
Okay.
Oh wait, no. Jesse gets
the next rant.
Jesse. All right. Well, then you get the next one after Jesse.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Let's move into best lines of the episode, where we talk about the favorite quotes of our episode. I do have one more thing. I just remembered as I look at my notes here. Sorry, it just totally threw the theme on.
I have a rant now.
I told Charles this would be a 2-hour episode.
Well, all right.
And he said, "Oh no, it's a school night."
No. This is really quick. The title, "The Woman Who Fell to Earth."
Yep.
Those who aren't aware of it, it's a nod to The Man Who Fell to Earth, which was a 1976 science fiction film from Britain, starring David Bowie.
That's right.
As Thomas Jerome Newton, an extraterrestrial who crash lands on Earth. That sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. Seeking a way to ship water to his planet, which is suffering from a severe drought.
And I think it's actually fairly interesting since David Bowie was kind of one of those gender-bending celebrities to use that as the title for this episode as well. So
exactly. And obviously there's a lot of people that think David Bowie would have been a great Doctor.
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
And I thought you might have picked David Bowie's Changes as one of the songs under your themes. Yes.
Turn and face the strange.
Changes. As we do harmony. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. But hey, David Bowie ended up on Twin Peaks, so Twin Peaks got him. Yay. All right. All right. Now, best lines of the episode. I apologize for my interruption, but I want to get that out there. So, okay.
Ladies first.
Me?
All right, Karen,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a couple. The Doctor says to Ryan, "I reformatted your phone." And he says, "No, all my stuff's on there." And she says, "Not anymore."
I did like that. Did not make my list, but that is a great line.
That is a good one.
I also like after she makes the jump across the cranes. These legs definitely used to be longer.
That was a good one.
Yes, that was really good.
The Doctor's talking to herself when she says, "Don't panic, not the end of the world." Well, it could be the end of the world, but one thing at a time.
That was a very, very doctor-ish quote.
Yeah, I know.
The other one was where she says that no, I never go anywhere that's just initials.
Right.
Because just out of random...
We'll take you to it's whatever their ER is.
Yeah, the A&E. No. I just thought that was a very doctorish quote.
That was great, yeah.
Right.
All right, those are mine.
Jesse, do you have any?
Yeah, I have so many, and so I think you and I might go back and forth.
Why don't you give me a couple, then I'll do a couple.
Okay.
All right.
We've got 2 Swiss Army knife ones.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that.
Right.
Where she says Swiss Army Sonic, now with added Sheffield steel.
Oh, I love that.
So it really did sound like a info commercial. Yeah. And then when she says,
but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
And then when she goes sonic screwdriver, well, I say screwdriver, but it's a bit more multi-purpose than that. Scanner, diagnostics, tin opener, more of a sonic Swiss Army knife, only without the knife. Only idiots carry knives.
Yeah, that one was good too.
That was good. So how geek do you think the people in Sheffield are right now after this
absolutely.
episode?
Yes.
They're going to love that. All right. Couple from me. I loved the early exchange between Yaz and the doctor where they're on the train and Yaz goes, "Hold on there, please, madam. I need you to do as I say. This could be a potential crime scene." The doctor replies, "Why are you calling me madam?" Yaz says, "Because you're a woman." "Am I? Does it suit me?" "What?" "Oh, yeah, I remember. Sorry, half an hour ago, I was a white-haired Scotsman."
Yeah, that one was great.
Little hand wave because she wasn't a Scotsman. She was a Time Lord. But yes, I love that. That was one of mine.
Well, she did speak with a Scottish accent.
Yes.
So, yes. I'm
that
sure
was
that's
her
where that came from.
disguise.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
We got a shout out to all the people doubting the new classic Whovian fans or people who don't like change. Don't be scared. All of this is new to you, and new can be scary.
Okay.
I love that one. Go ahead, Charles.
For my second one, I was going to pick No Sonic, Empty Pockets. I hate empty pockets.
And she's doing
absolutely.
And
every part of her body.
Jesse got another one?
Is that the one that was followed by "I need a new coat"?
Yeah.
Because I love that one.
Yeah.
There are many things that I've loved, but and I'm hoping you're going to do the quote where she kind of finds herself. Yeah. So I'm saving that for you.
I have that here. Okay. I think I know that. Let's see if it's the one that you're thinking of.
Yeah. But the definite. No, I'm just giving you one more, and then I'm going to let you finish.
Okay. I was just getting ready to get into Karen.
No.
Okay.
No. But I think if you go when you not only the great quote about I've never turned down anyone for help. I don't have that right in front of me, but I'm just a traveler. Sometimes I see things need fixing. Do what I can. Mm-hmm. You know what? You want to tell your son or daughter what's a good rule for life. Sometimes I see things need fixing. Do what you can. Yeah. I just love that line.
Should be a
and
mantra.
A description. Yeah, it is. That's absolutely beautiful. All right, Charles.
Okay, we'll give it a shot here. I think this is the one you're thinking of. Right now, I'm a stranger to myself. There's echoes of who I was and a sort of call toward who I am. And I have to hold my nerve and trust all these new instincts, shape myself toward them. I'll be fine. In the end, hopefully. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, I was thinking the big reveal on the crane. So do you have that one?
Okay.
I do.
Oh, I have that one too, I think.
Okay.
All right, we'll try to. Karen, do you want to do that one?
Well, I have the end of it.
Okay, I've got it's Sim Shah's and then the doctor's response.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead and then I'll play the end.
Okay, all right. So I've got Sim Shaw going, "Who are you?" And the doctor replies, "I'm glad you asked that again. Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
Sorting out fair play throughout the universe."
That's right.
Yes.
I'm
I
the
love
Doctor.
that
That's
line.
All right.
And then here's another quote that I liked real quick.
We're all capable of the most incredible change. We can evolve while still staying true to who we are. We can honor who we've been and choose who we want to be next. Now's your chance. How about it?
That was also
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that was pointed right toward those critics
Yep.
of Jodie Whittaker's casting.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes.
So-
And I think a good message for a lot of people
Yep.
in
Agreed.
today's. Yes.
And I did have one quick words of wisdom from Yaz. Every day is a learning day.
Yes, I love
Yes.
that one.
Where she's on the crane and she's like, every day is a learning day.
Yeah, and
Yep.
she's saying it like almost distracted. Every day's a learning
Yes.
day.
Yeah,
I
like
love that.
like a mantra she's
Yeah.
repeating to herself.
So good.
Yeah, that was good. All right. Any other quotes before we
I
move
was
on?
Yaz right then. I mean, I
We-
feel like that. every
We're
day.
all Yaz.
Yeah, we're all Yaz.
Yeah.
We're all Yaz.
No, I'm good.
All right.
I mean, could we have picked out every single line in the episode? Because
Yes, we could.
Well, and that's a sign of a good episode, a well-written episode, is that there's so many quotable lines. So, All right. Ratings. What's everybody's rating? Karen, why don't we give your rating first, since you're the new partner in time?
Okay. 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Bicycles and trees.
Oh, I love
You
that.
stole mine. You stole
I
mine.
did. Oh
I have
man.
I have a backup.
Okay, good. And I didn't give it 10 because of no credits. Because it
Right.
just doesn't seem like a Doctor Who episode without credits.
Testify.
Yeah, because I was like, at the end of the episode, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Let down? You know, because one of the reasons you watch the new Doctor is to see the new credits, right? I mean, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
You're preaching the choir on that one.
All right.
Jesse, how about you? What's your rating?
So I didn't miss the credits.
Dude.
I
So
give
neat.
it 10. I'm you know me. I'm always the optimist.
Do not
I give
blaspheme.
it-
Do not blaspheme.
Dude.
I give it 10 out of 10 dressing rooms.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Really? You gave it a perfect 10.
Yeah, I honestly think this could have been the best first Doctor episode ever.
Whoa.
Mm.
Strong.
Yeah,
We've covered them all.
yeah.
Here on Up Everywhere.
Yeah, it's up there. Okay, so
Although,
can I just got to say one thing. I'm someone
Yeah.
that acquires episodes and keeps them on a drive.
Yeah.
I will
Right.
I will ditch my copy if it doesn't have the credits on it. So all I'm saying, Jesse, is
I wasn't missing it.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with one episode, but it better not
No.
be two.
No, it has to start and end with credits.
Yeah,
I gotta
exactly.
hear it. Dun, 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 you know.
All right, and Charles.
My rating, since Karen took my mountain bikes thrown over a cliff,
Sorry.
that's okay. You didn't know. That's cool. I just figured nobody would get that one,
Say
but
we share a
we do.
brain.
We've
I
talked
had
about
not
this on
thought
the
of that
Phantom
one.
Zone.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on Phantom Zone. Karen and I share a brain. God help her.
Yes.
There's
all right.
nothing wrong with that.
So my rating, again, deducted for 1 point for no credit, opening
Mhm.
credits. Chibnall, 9 Hershey's Kiss Pods.
Nice. I like that one.
Nice, very nice. That was very good.
Mhm.
All right, very
So I'm
quickly,
sorry, after
Charles.
seeing that thing, I got a serious craving for Hershey's Kiss.
Yes. Okay, Charles, as we continue on our epic recording,
Yep.
do you have a reverse the polarity for us?
I do. And don't worry, we're going to get down under an hour and a half because we started at 8:30 and it's 9:45, so we can do this. All right, really quick. I have faith.
Pointing. Okay.
Yes. All right, reverse the polarity. We're going to go back to 2010, just 8 years ago, with The 11th Hour.
I knew that was going to be your reverse the polarity.
The very first episode of Series 5 in 2010, written by Stephen Moffat, where we have the newly regenerated 11th Doctor, so right there is the main connection, crash lands his TARDIS in 1996 near young Amelia Pond's Ledworth home. After Amelia helps him recover, she shows him a crack in her bedroom wall that he recognizes as a tear in space-time, leading to an Atraxi prison. Mm-hmm. The Atraxi alert him to the escape of Prisoner Zero. Before he can respond, he must take the TARDIS for a short trip to help its repairs and promises Amelia he'll be back in just 5 minutes. But it's the Doctor, so she packs a suitcase and waits for him, only to find out the Doctor returns 12 years later, unaware that that time has passed. He gets accosted by an older Amelia, now going by Amy, who has some serious red hair and is angry with him for leaving because she's been ridiculed by the town for her raggedy doctor fixation. The Atraxi arrive in Earth's orbit to hunt Prisoner Zero. So again, there's another connection to the woman who fell to Earth, because we have an alien race hunting another. And speaking through all communication devices, they demand that Prisoner Zero be turned over or they will destroy the Earth. Searching for Prisoner Zero, who is able to take the form of any unconscious being that it has telepathically linked to, they run across Rory, Amy's boyfriend. He helps spot Prisoner Zero posing as one of the coma patients in his care. Amy and Rory corner Zero at the hospital, and the Doctor arrives as various experts around the world execute his plan, broadcasting Zero to the Atraxi along with the photos of the coma patients from Rory's phone, revealing Prisoner Zero's identity. Prisoner Zero knocks out Amy and takes the form of young Amelia. The Doctor speaks to Amy's subconscious to force Zero to take its native form, allowing the Atraxi to recapture it. As the alien is taken away, Zero warns the Doctor, silence will fall. The Atraxi leave Earth with the Doctor declaring he's Earth's protector and warns them not to threaten the planet again. The Doctor returns to the fully repaired TARDIS and leaves without saying goodbye. He rematerializes 2 years later, and while Amy is still bitter about his original disappearance, she agrees to his offer to travel with him. But as the TARDIS dematerializes, the viewer is shown Amy's bedroom, where, alongside her toys and drawings of the Raggedy Doctor, lies her wedding dress. Dun dun dun.
That's right.
And that's reverse the play for the week.
Rory.
Yes.
Rip Hunter.
All right. Charles, you got a quick Series 11 news?
Yeah, just real quick. Series 11, Episode 3, coming up here in a couple of weeks. We found out during the New York Comic Con will feature Rosa Parks, played by Vinette Robinson.
That'll be good.
Yep. And we know that Alan Cumming, who played Nightcrawler in the Bryan Singer X-Men movies, is going to be appearing later in the season as well. And apparently as a musketeer of some sort.
He's been in a bazillion things, though, too.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, just...
Yeah, everyone knows him from that.
Mainstream-wise, you know him from X-Men to X-Men United.
Yeah. We also tweeted today a Barbie has a Doctor Who doll that's already sold out.
I want one so bad.
I have never...
This is why eBay exists, everybody.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to pay eBay prices for it.
No, I won't either.
All right,
it looks great.
All right, so Jesse, I understand you have a blue soapbox, a.k.a. a Jessatorial.
I do, and I bring in this up just as a reminder because we're about to give some feedback, and some of the feedback we received on Facebook kind of made me think. And so after watching the season premiere of the new series of Doctor Who, I felt a sense of excitement, a sense of wonderment, and a sense of joy. I was overjoyed and couldn't wait to talk to Charles and Karen about the premiere. To get ready for the discussion, I went to Facebook and asked for feedback on several Doctor Who groups. The first few posts were from people who were less than enthusiastic. And my first thoughts was to dismiss their opinions, to blame it on them being male fans who are very unhappy that the series had fallen to, air quotes, political correctness, and they came to the new series with a chip on their shoulder. And then I realized that I was making that assumption. I was being as narrow-minded as I thought they might be. You can be in favor of the series evolving and still not be happy with the first episode. Part of my job as a fan, as a host of this podcast, is to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the best, if not the best, first episode of a new Doctor ever. But I might be watching Jodie with colored glasses. And if someone is being narrow-minded and unaccepting of this newest incarnation of the Doctor, they are cheating themselves out of an amazing journey, but it isn't my place to judge. I want to disagree with them so bad, but I can't read someone's heart, so I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt. Though I don't understand anyone who truly loves the series not loving this first episode. I don't even understand people nitpicking about, credits.
Oh, are you trying to start something?
Why,
all right. So
hey, now
here we are. We've Karen's first episode as a full-fledged partner in time, and
he can bust my hump. We know each other.
All right. Yeah, we've known each other far too long, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
All right.
Okay, so that said, we're going to take a grain of salt with some of these.
Yeah.
So, Charles, do you want to start with one of the letters we've gotten?
Okay, I'm good either way. If you want to start with,
you can start.
Okay, all right. Let me pull up the.
Okay, if you're not ready.
No, I'm ready. I got the Gmail right here. Oh, the Gmail. All right. So first we have Paul Beck. We have 5 this week. A couple playing catch up, but some about our new episode. So, Paul Beck from Australia writes in, "Hi, Charles and Jesse and Karen." I'm putting that in there because he doesn't know that Karen's going to be here. I can't believe it's been 13 years since this episode has broadcast, and he's referring to the Christmas invasion. So we're playing catch up on that. Time has flown by. This story is important to me because it was the first episode of Doctor Who that my wife ever watched.
Yay.
I finally convinced her to reluctantly view it when it was broadcast, and by the end she was hooked! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, smiley face. My evil plan worked, finally. So, David was her first Doctor, and since then I've managed to show her every episode of Who from 1963 to now. Awesome, dude.
That is greatness.
Very cool.
Yeah, I have to give this a sound effect here for this. RESPECT. RESPECT.
Very nice.
So, for respect for that. Okay. Get back to the email. And what a great first episode for her. I think for anyone just starting to watch Doctor Who, they should start with a new Doctor's first episode. You start the journey with them, and along the way, come to understand how this show works. I love all the weird Christmas things like Santa robots and lethal spinning trees. And what about Harriet Jones and the way the Doctor takes down her government with just 6 little words? Such a great episode. So this would be the beginning of the modern era Christmas episodes, a tradition that is still ongoing. Can't wait for this year's. Sending you both, as always, my kindest regards, Paul. P.S. So surely the next show is The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Really can't wait. Yep. Guess what? It was. So thank you, Paul, as always.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes, Paul.
Yep. And I hope you keep writing in, of course. Jesse, do you want to read Holly Max, or do you want me to?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Holly said...
You get so possessive of you, Holly. You won't let me read your emails.
Actually, Karen is supposed to read it.
I don't have emails.
Because that's in the blue.
It's in the Google Doc that Jesse sent you. It's highlighted,
Holly
right?
from
Starts-
Wisconsin.
yes.
Got it. Hey, Charles
Yes.
and Jesse and Karen, in parentheses, because
Yep.
she didn't know it was me.
Exactly.
What an episode and an introduction to Jodie Whittaker as the new Doctor. I loved all of the companions and how they interacted with the Doctor. I wish Grace would have stayed around for a few more episodes. I also love the Doctor using the technology from Tim Shaw, and she put it in
Yes.
quotes,
Yep.
Tim Shaw's ship to make her sonic screwdriver. I wonder how long the Doctor will be out without her TARDIS. I at first thought the blue blob that looked like a Hershey's Kiss was the TARDIS and that it was in the process of regenerating itself. A lot of people thought that, apparently. This is me speaking, Karen. I saw...
It's a valid theory.
Yeah,
it is.
I saw quite a few people saying that.
Yeah. I could see people wondering that. That's fair.
Yeah. I also appreciated how the companions interacted with each other. I think Graham's people skills as a former bus driver and Yaz's police skills will play in nicely as the season goes along. Ryan is a determined character, and I can't wait to know more about him and the others. I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to your thoughts on this episode. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly, as always.
Thank you,
Yep.
Holly.
And Holly brings up a good point. What did everybody think about the Doctor building her own sonic screwdriver? We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we
we
did? Oh, we
talked
did?
about how cool it was. Yeah.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just here
Okay.
like co-hosting the podcast.
And by the way, while we were talking,
I must have just totally zoned out there
Yeah.
for a second.
while we were talking, we got a tweet from Cassandra saying an interesting point that I haven't seen mentioned yet is her construction of the Sonic from spoons, a traditionally gendered item, cooking, kitchen, etc. I love how the show made her use of the spoon so cool.
And what I thought of
There is no
is
spoon.
the Capaldi using a spoon when he dueled with Robin Hood,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
and then Sylvester McCoy playing spoons.
This is
Yeah.
true.
So I thought there were two different things. I
now
did not
we have
catch that.
now we have three Doctor Who spoon connotations
That's
or
right.
connections.
So
Spoon connections.
Spoon connections.
I wanted to share one that and I actually this was Donna is a regular listener of Set Lusting Bruce, and she's been on the show very long. She founded Bruce Funds, which is a fans helping fans, where people who are unable to afford Springsteen tickets, she has helped them go to shows, and she's helped people from all over the world go to different shows, and she's just a lovely person. And she, after all my posting, she said, "You know what? I'm going to watch Doctor Who since you say you don't need to know." And she sent me this: quirky, funny, sharp, with a multicultural cast, but not token ethnic members. Seemed natural, like X-Files quirky, but without the sexual tension. I can see how it would be appealing to a wide span of age groups. I'm not particularly fond of sci-fi, and I don't know anything really about the genre itself. I was entertained, amused, and remained somewhat curious. I like how the Doctor referenced her previous self in funny ways. These legs were definitely longer, etc. Donna with Bruce Funds.
Very cool.
I just, it breaks me almost tears that someone, you flat saying, I'm not into sci-fi, but because of Jodie, they're checking it out.
That's great.
Very cool.
That's very good. Let's hope more people are like that.
Agreed.
Yes. Well, if you look at the ratings, as you talked about, right?
Well, let's
All right.
let's just hope they all come back for episode 2.
Absolutely. You got another email for us, Charles?
Yeah, I do. Now, I actually got 2 from Dave Proctor. One he wrote right before watching the first episode. So, but then the other one he wrote after watching the first episode. I think that's more relevant, so I'm going to read that one. Dave Proctor writes in, I wrote my previous email prior to watching the episode. I've now watched the episode and enjoyed it immensely. Granted, this is not an unbiased opinion because I usually find even the lesser Doctor Who episodes to be better than most television. With the exception of Star Trek, I'm biased to that as well. That being said, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode and thought the writing was quality. I say it is okay to have characters on the show to make misogynistic comments to or about the Doctor because that is an illustration of reality. There are ill-informed people believe those things. That is what makes it okay to reflect it in literature and television and movies. However, where I would draw the line is if the writers put such ignorance in the mouth of the Doctor. They did not. I did love the line, half an hour ago, I was a white-haired Scotsman.
That great. Line's great every time. Perfect.
It says a lot about the Doctor's personality to be able to convince this many people that she is brilliant and the natural leader, even though she is spouting what would be considered crazy talk. Now, I'm one of those people who helps the show, I'm not one of those people who hopes the show does not get up on a soapbox constantly. We get it. The Doctor is a woman. She also stands for a lot of other things that is gender, such as gender non-binary. I love that. I hope that the show can be matter-of-fact about this so that it doesn't seem unusual. I also hope that all of the interviews of the cast do not center on this alone. I still want to hear their opinions of other aspects of the show, just like I heard from Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Billy Piper et al. Jodie Whittaker and the remainder of the cast have certainly already taken their place among this pantheon, and deservedly so. I do not want the focus to completely shift to this other aspect. I love that the show has done this, but I also love everything else that the show has stood for since 1963, when it was an entertainment device that served as a distraction from ongoing world issues such as the recent day before assassination of President Kennedy. This show and Star Trek and other shows of this genre serve as a distraction from world events as well as a microscope of world events. I simply want to maintain that balance. I love the show and continue to love the show, and I am starving for more episodes. Quick thought, I've been enjoying some of the old Patrick Troughton episodes on BritBox. I enjoy the animated ones just as much as in some cases because they lack the constraints of a special effects budget. The missing episodes must have scripts somewhere. Let's dig those up and animate the shows. Once that is done, we could do even more shows, such as the Paul McGann Doctor, that are being done as audio dramas now by Big Finish. Perhaps the audio dramas could be the sources of the voices. Just a thought. No, I know I would watch them. Thanks, David K. Proctor, Master Patrol Deputy, Eagle County Sheriff's Office.
Very nice. That's very nice. Well done.
So, hey, rather long one there, Dave.
That's all right. We appreciate it. Hey, Karen, why don't you read this first one that didn't love it as much?
Sure. This is from John from Facebook, who says, a little disappointed. She's trying too hard. The story was not that great, but when was the last really good episode? Let's hope next week they pick it up.
So this was the first one which led to my editorial.
Right.
How
about Twice Upon a Time, last year's Christmas special? That was the previous episode. That was good.
Yeah. Travis from Facebook said she has potential. Have to see how she does. Was a bit disappointed in this episode though. I do know not everyone starts with that Doctor moment in the first episode. Liked it enough to give her the benefit of the doubt. So, not everyone feeling the love, but, we're going to get through. But Ashley had a little bit different feeling, didn't
she? I effing loved it.
Yep.
I had to clean up.
Again, this is where we kind of split along the gender lines, I think.
Yeah. She feels like a throwback to 10 with some of her mannerisms and behaviors. I was a little nervous, but I sobbed with happiness when she remembered who she was. Jodie really is the Doctor. Less than 3. Art. Ashley from Facebook.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, absolutely. Charles, do you have another one? Or
Yeah, I do. This is my last email. Again, it's from Paul from Australia, who wrote in about the woman who fell to Earth this time. So, hi, Charles and Jesse and Allie.
Yay.
Karen got her first email.
Thank you.
Right. So thanks, Paul, for that. Wow, doesn't it seem like forever to finally get this first episode of the new season? But wasn't it worth the wait?
Yes.
Such a perfect cast to take the show forward. Love the new companions and love the new Doctor. She definitely has a touch of Matt Smith's delivery technique. See, he agrees with me. Love her accent too. The story I could take or leave. Typical alien threat with some twists, but for me the highlights of the episode were the character interactions. You really start caring for these people. And Jodie's performance topped it off. Love the Doctor's description of what it's like to regenerate. And it looks like this series might have the original cliffhanger endings. Just perfect. Can't wait till next week. Sending you all my kindest regards from across the pond, Paul. P.S. I definitely know what the next show will be about. The Ghost Monument. Cheers.
Thank you, as always, Paul.
And yes, Paul, you're absolutely right. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, Chrissy from Facebook said, I enjoyed her. Still very much the Doctor with some very familiar traits, but still new and refreshing. Yes, and then we're going to knock through these quickly. I got into a slight flame war with Ryan from Facebook because all he did was R.I.P. Doctor Who, and he spelled it D.R., and I wanted to rip him.
See, obviously you're not a fan.
He doesn't count then. Doesn't count.
True fans don't spell it
That's
DR.
Right. Doesn't count.
He ended up, we discussed back and forth, and he said he just didn't care for it, but he's hoping for better later.
Well, then it's not R.I.P.
Yeah, he said that. He said we were the exception, and I said no. If you Google reviews, everyone's been pretty far.
The majority is definitely positive about Jodie Whittaker's first episode. Yeah. Hate to break it to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Laura from Facebook says, I liked it. I thought they caught the spirit of the Doctor and the spirit of the show. I like going back to a more realistic, grounded feel and away from the more fantasy feel. Not a huge fan of Graham. Not sure they did the quote-unquote friends justice, but once they all settle into their roles and get some more character development, I'll have a better sense of them all. Laura from Facebook.
I think that's a fair. I didn't feel that way, but I could see how someone else did.
Sure.
Yeah. Here's a shout out for both of you. Stephen from Facebook says, a very solid start. The lack of intro-outro was a downer.
Get off of that, Jesse.
No, it's a shout out to you guys. He said,
guess so, yeah.
He says a solid 6 out of 10. He took off 4 points for not having that.
Yeah, see, that's not enough.
See, some people feel pretty seriously about their
Yes, they do. Yeah. Feels like Matt Smith all over again. Super skeptical at first, but now hopeful with a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. That's good. And yes. I have a tweet as well, which I want to actually talk about this because there is one little point that they made that I think we should talk about real quick before we finish up.
Okay.
This is from Ken from Chicago.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Did they explain how the 13th Doctor survived the fall and I just missed it? And we did answer on Twitter.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I wrote back through the Next Stop Everywhere account.
Yeah, so. Me too. I mentioned it as well. And my answer was, let's see, what was my answer? Hold on.
Yeah. What was my answer? I have no idea.
My answer was, I don't think so implicitly, but the Doctor is really resilient during regeneration. The Doctor has survived falls before twice during regeneration, if I remember correctly. And one of them was the one that you mentioned in the 11th hour.
Yes.
One of them was that. And you literally seconds after I tweeted.
Right.
tweeted, she fell through the roof of the train and presumably survived because she was still regenerating.
Exactly. Yep.
So you and I both kind of answered the same thing.
we share a brain.
Right.
So, yeah.
So yes.
But it seemed like the most logical way. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice if we got a more straightforward acknowledgement of that.
Yeah, but it's not necessary, really. It's not. I mean, it's a nitpicky thing, kind of, right?
Well, I mean, the Doctor falls from a great height. You want to know how the Doctor crashes through the roof of a train.
I guess, but a lot of people realize that regeneration is kind of a healing thing. Anyway.
Right. It seemed obvious to me, but maybe other people might not be. I'm just saying.
And there are a lot of people jumping on at this point. So it might have been nice to say, "Oh, phew, I'm glad I was regenerating, or else I wouldn't have made that fall." I mean, it just would have taken that one comment and
a little offhand remark.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, good point.
So yeah, but we both answered that same thing, that probably, regeneration was the deal. So yeah, same brain. Same brain. And I did. Right, I just wanted to bring it up in this part since maybe other people had that same question.
All right, this is from Fred Firestein, aka Fred Firestein,
aka New York Fred. That's what I call him.
So, aka Psych Rewind Fred.
That's right.
And so, who's obviously been listening to us on the Phantom Zone and listening to us here Next Stop Everywhere. So,
and Remaking History and Made of Steel and
everywhere.
Yes.
All right.
Gotham.
So Fred writes in, hopefully it turns curiosity seekers into lifelong fans. We can hope this reverses the trend that has been going on for years and led to the end of the classic series, or end of the series in the classic era. Not to say it was all because of the main character and actor, or the writing, or the premise of the show, etc. But it would be nice to gain a bunch of new fans, whatever the reason.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So, you're the bestest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So, hopefully this is encouraging people to jump on board more than losing all those negative Nancys.
Well, and what's interesting, Charles and Karen, is I do this fairly often. Is I go to different Facebook pages and say, "Hey, we're recording. Anyone got feedback?" And I may get one comment. This exploded. So, and there is a healthy debate about this with the side of right and justice. And all good in the world is that this is an amazing new Doctor, and we're looking forward to it. I am thrilled that I'm getting to talk to you two about it.
Yay.
Yep. And hopefully there we're getting some new listeners as a result, because new Doctor, hopefully everybody's looking for a new Doctor Who podcast, and hey, I hope we fit the bill. So
absolutely.
All right.
And I'm so happy I get to talk to you guys.
Oh,
yes. We're definitely glad you're here, Karen, because if nothing else, you're going to keep us in line. I think that's.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't mean that comedically.
We're going to go 3 hours now.
Well, we're already pushing like hour 45.
I know, you said we were going to stay under 2 hours.
I tried. Okay. So much. So we got
next time on Next Stop Everywhere. Next time.
Next time on Next Stop Everywhere, as Paul was asking about. Yes, we're going to talk about, you guessed it, the Ghost Monument, which I love that title. It's very classic Doctor Who. And this is also written by Chris Chibnall, showrunner. And we'll find out how the Doctor and her friends/companions get out of that nasty little cliffhanger of, teleporting in orbit around the Earth.
Into space.
Awkward.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I noticed they did a big wide shot to show you the TARDIS was nowhere close.
Right.
Because I was thinking, they're in the TARDIS force field.
Missed it by that much.
Well, speaking as a Douglas Adams fan, I'm really hoping that a ship with an infinite probability drive just happens to come by, maybe known by the name of the Heart of Gold.
That would be awesome.
And just saying, if you're a Hitchhiker's fan,
that would be really awesome.
And have Marvin, the paranoid android.
I can't believe we're here.
I can't believe I have to pick up time travelers from orbit. I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed.
Absolutely. All right.
All right.
Karen, how can people find you?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
You can contact me via the Twitter machine. I am at Aliveria. Thus, my Allie nickname, in case you guys are wondering. I am Allie Lindsay on Facebook. So Aliveria is Aleveria on Twitter. And in what was that? And in my bio, there's a link to my blog. And on that page has all my other links. So you can find me there. I don't want to list them all here.
right. And Charles, do you want to give the information how to get to the show?
Yeah, so if you want to be like everybody else and you want all the cool kids, Karen's whipping out her sonic screwdriver.
Right. I don't have a sonic screwdriver. You might, but I don't.
I've got 5 of them, so you can borrow one of mine. All right.
I don't want to know that.
Well, you know.
That's too much information.
Too TMI? All right. So if you want to be like everybody else that was kind enough to write in, and thanks everybody for writing in. We appreciate it. You can drop us a line at Next Stop Everywhere SMG. Don't forget the SMG at gmail.com. Or you can reach us on Twitter at Next Stop SMG. Again, don't forget the SMG. Or you can reach us on Facebook at Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. We'd love to hear from you there.
Or, just search for Next Stop Everywhere.
Yep, exactly. We're very easy to find, I would think. By now, we've now done like 119 episodes. Shouldn't be too hard. And as for me, you can reach me at Charles Skaggs on Twitter, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. And I can't say Google Plus anymore because Google Plus is going down the tube. So no crazy. I'm sorry, crazy kids on the Google Plus, but
really crazy kids on Google Plus. I know.
Yeah, I'm going to stop saying that. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio, or my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all the shows that we talk about here on Next Stop Everywhere, or all kinds of comic book sci-fi news, or all the other podcasts I do for Southgate Media Group, including the Fandom Zone with Karen, Titan Talk, the Titans podcast with Jesse, or Ghost with the Twin Peaks podcast that I do with Zan Sprouse.
Titan Talk's coming up, Charles.
I know. It's a busy week for us because we got the Titans premiere. So Jesse and I will be talking Titans later in the week.
Charles is going to get tired of talking to me.
I think it's the other way around.
I can be reached at Jesse Jackson DFW. I am also on Facebook, Jesse Jackson in Louisville, Texas. You can hear me talk about music and Bruce Springsteen on Set Lusting Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast. And as we talked about, Titan Talk with Charles. So this is great.
Yep. So everybody, thanks again. As
I get choked up, I'm all choked up.
You're a little verklempt.
I am after. It's been too long. I almost was tempted to, in Storming the Castle, Karen politely said, my other podcast host, don't ask me for my Twitter handle. They say it for me. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
Oh,
no.
So I was confused. I didn't know what to do.
No.
So Karen, your first time as a partner in time. I hope you had fun.
I loved it. And I like being the utility player too with the soundboard. Yeah. So
you are.
Yes,
everybody's got their role, so that's awesome. And you're definitely a welcome addition. We haven't left yet. We can't dematerialize this yet. So everybody, thanks again for listening. And come on back for the Ghost Monument. Jesse, do we have a quote to lead us out?
You may know where you are, my dears, but not when. Oh, I can foresee oodles of trouble.
All right. So thanks everybody for listening. Come on back. Episode 120, The Ghost Monument. We'll see you next time right here on Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. Bye, everybody.